All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Talks with the Lady. I am your host, Lashana Lady Brown, and it is a pleasure to be back here again tonight with yet another episode, a very special episode, because the episode that we're going to have tonight is a very special and dear, not just an associate, but a friend, a confidant, someone that I truly love and I've always loved and adored, and I absolutely love her spirit. So I am, it was an honor when I asked her to come on and spill some beans about our topic tonight, which is single parenting. And I am really looking forward. Her perspective means a lot to me because she has four beautiful children. They're all very well mannered. So I just felt that this episode would be specifically, and it's like it was ordained for her. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to give her, I'm not going to say too much. I'm going to let her give you most of the details tonight. Okay. Because I can go on and on and on about her. So we're going to bring her to the stage, and we have the evangelist, and I do say the evangelist. She has actually upgraded her credentials, so I'll let her tell you a little bit more about it. So I'm going to go ahead and bring to the stage now none other than the evangelist, Earlicia Young Rentz. Okay.
Hi,
Hello.
hi,
How
hi,
are
everyone.
you?
I am wonderful.
It is a blessing to have you here. Beautiful.
Yes, thank you. You as well. Oh my
Yes,
God.
you look so refreshed. And I know you're
Woo.
a busy, busy lady. So again, it's a pleasure to have you here. I was just introducing, did a little mini introduction. So we're going to start by having you introduce yourself to the audience and let them know who you are and what it is that you do and what you bring to the community and so on and so forth, because you do wear a lot of hats.
Oh goodness, where do I start? Okay. My name is Earlicia Young Rentz. I am presently, as she said earlier, was just ordained on Sunday, and I am now a elder in God's church and also the worship pastor at the Ark Church of Gainesville, which is such a honor to me because most times people forget to elaborate on how much a title costs.
Mm-hmm.
I say it's a title, but at the end of the day, I'm a servant. I am honored to accept this call because, sometimes we don't think that we're worthy of certain things, especially the choices that we've made in life. But through this endeavor, I have learned that God is faithful and that He will do just what He says He will do,
Yes, he
and
did.
that His plan is the only plan that will prevail because, man said otherwise. So that's just a little bit about that. But currently, I am a business owner. I own Divine Prosperity and Grace LLC. I'm a Medicaid waiver provider. I've been a provider for about 5 years now. I've actually been operative for 3 years. I am also a consultant. What I do, I teach others to do it. I am a private duty CNA. I care for my mom full time, so I wear a lot of hats. And with the business, owner, operator, do the HR, payroll, all that kind of good stuff. And then at the end of the day, we're talking about single parenting. I am fully involved in all of my children's life. Each and every one of them are different. Grandmother of two, to have two on the way. I could just go on and on, but that's just about who I am.
All right. And there you have it. I told you all, she wears a lot of hats, honey. So now I am going to now refer to you as pastor because you have earned your credentials. And I'm going to respect you as such, as always, just as even outside of a friendship or whatever, as a leader, in the ministry. So, again, I do appreciate the contributions that you have made, not just into my life, but even in the life of others as well. You may not understand it, but you definitely have an impact. I absolutely love that I'm able to open up to you, and you actually not saying you're up here and I'm here, but I'm just saying, meet me where I am, and that is what I feel makes it more comfortable to be able to talk to someone knowing that, okay, they're seeing me for right, where I am right now in this position in my life. So again, thank you so much for that.
You're
Now,
welcome.
again, our topic for tonight is single parenting. We have all experienced this. We've all went through it at some point in time in our lives. Maybe we ended up married eventually, and then we were able to blend families and so on and so forth. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. We all want that outcome eventually one day. But we have also struggled. We've struggled throughout the parenthood, trying to raise children. It is not easy. It is a task that we have succumbed to. A lot of our, especially our African American families, have succumbed to just a one parent household. And so when we talk about single parenting, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's just the mother. It could be the father as well. It could be the father that is the single parent, and that's relied on heavily to provide and take care of the household and the children. So with that being said, how long have you been? I know you're married now. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yes. So prior to your marriage, how long had you been a single parent?
Oh, goodness. I've been single parenting now for my oldest daughter is 24 years old. And it has not been easy at all. Just understanding that each and every one of our children, they're their own individual person.
Hmm.
So just trying to figure that out first and foremost, especially understanding that you think that you can love all your children the same.
Hmm.
You love them, but you have to deal with them differently.
Right.
So 24 years with mine, but loving on other kids, I could say it would be longer, but mine especially 24 years I've been doing this. I'm a
Okay.
vet.
You have, I know, right? And it's the same for me. It's been 24 years that I have been a single parent. In between there, about 5 years uh, with the marriage, outside of that. But pretty much I'm going to say 24 years. I have not me personally, I don't know if it was as difficult for you. I'm not going to say it was as difficult. It became more natural for me, because I think that I was pretty much built to do, exactly what it is that, I was called to do. So with that being said, like most of the time, I'm sorry, I had a phone call. Most of the time, I'm not gonna say that it was really difficult, but I found it to become all just natural. Before you know it, I had one, and then I had two, and next thing you know, I got three, I got four. It's like, and it didn't even phase me. Has this been difficult at any point in time in your life where you felt like it was overbearing for you? Because remember now, many of us, like the saying even says, many of us are called, but very few are chosen. I feel like we are chosen for this assignment.
Mhm.
And as God would say, I gave you this many. I have seven. Seven is the number of completion. Now,
Yeah.
when I was a little girl, I never imagined having seven children. I always said I
Wow.
wanted a boy and I wanted a girl.
Yes.
That is what I said. But for whatever reason, it things happen, but it was the will of God. At
Mhm.
any point in time in your life, have you felt like, okay, this is just overbearing for me? Like, God, why did you choose me for this assignment?
No, I could say that I'm kind of like you. I didn't necessarily look and say, okay, I'm gonna have 4 kids, but I can tell you out the blocks. When
Mm-hmm.
I first got pregnant with my oldest daughter,
Uh-huh.
I resignated in myself that I was going to walk into motherhood.
Mm-hmm.
I was never one of those moms that tried to push her children off on different people and stuff like that. So I kind of adapted to
Mm-hmm.
it. Like I said, I didn't know I was gonna have 4. They kind of just started like bam,
Right.
bam, bam. And it's like, okay, I'm here now. I have to figure this out. But one
Mm-hmm.
of the most important things that made parenting be a little bit easier for me was I accepted that it was no longer about me.
Right.
That it was their time, and one day I'll have time for me.
Right.
So I kind of I had no choice
Mm-hmm.
but to adapt to it. It wasn't so hard for me in the beginning, but in
Mm-hmm.
2004, after my mom got in her car accident, that was
Okay.
when it was sink or swim, because my mom was my support system. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
have to worry about anything. So I had to put on my big girl drawers and be a woman. And from that point on, just kind of just
Mm-hmm.
walked into it. At first it was a little bit overwhelming because I had to learn to live life without my mom assisting me with my kids.
Mm-hmm.
So I had at that point I was pregnant with my youngest son when she was in a car accident, which maybe like a month later I had him. So but I had like doorsteps. So
Mm-hmm.
I had to try to figure out, how I was gonna make sure I had childcare, how I was
Mm-hmm.
gonna basically my mom did everything for me.
Right.
She did my WIC appointments. She went to the store and brought WIC. So at that point, I didn't panic, but I knew that I had to do that. So it was no point like, oh my God, what am I gonna do? I shed my tears, but it was time to mount up then because those children were depending on me. They
Mm-hmm.
didn't ask to come here. So I would say to answer the question, I know the plane is taking off, but I promise y'all we're gonna land. To answer the question, that was the most challenging point, when I didn't know what part my mom would be able to play in my life, as far as raising my children after she had her car accident.
So that was your support. So and I know like a lot of people don't parents don't even have that. Um so I know it must have been devastating, for you to be able to go through that and just have to come to the realization that now I've got to do all of this. I have to be responsible. Not saying that you weren't the parent, but parents are a helpmate. I
Yes,
know that that's what my parents they helped, and I was the type where I never had or allowed my parents, or well, for one, they weren't going to tolerate it, but I never allowed my parents to watch my children while I go out, I party.
exactly.
Like they were there for the
Yes,
necessities. Like this is what you have to get. So if I was going to school, um, I had a babysitter while I went to school. When I was in undergrad, I had my dad watch my kids a lot. And at that time, I think I probably only had four. But I get what you're saying because it's like now you really got to put your foot down. But what don't kill you make you stronger. So,
yes,
which is why
yes,
I'm pretty sure that it's why you became the parent, and it's a reflection. Your children are a reflection of what you have taught them and what they have seen.
yes,
So I think that that's very, very important for the audience even to understand that single parenting that isn't necessarily a bad thing.
mhm,
A lot of time it allows you to connect with your children on a different level. And I understood what you were saying with that because it's even us with the mentality of, okay, I don't want to bring any and everybody around my kids. So it kind of forces you to be right there with them and to just kind of focus on them and their needs.
yes.
So I do get that. Now, I do have other than your support system, is there how active were their fathers was their father in their lives, because that is another thing. People, relationships, they break up, marriages break up, so on and so forth, but still having that support system from the other parent, you know
Well,
how
dad was, in the picture, but he was trying to, figure this out as well. Our first child that we had, he had his own situations
mm-hmm,
going on, so he had to try to migrate through that. But for the most part, they had access to their dad, but it was more or less just me. They did see him. He would come and see them and stuff. But I can tell you this, for the most part, I kind of stayed like a distance
mm-hmm,
from where he was. No, you didn't have to drive 2 or 3 hours or anything like that.
right,
But he wasn't like he was in the house. I take that back.
mm-hmm,
Rewind. For our first child, he was.
mm-hmm,
We tried. We tried to live together, but I was still young and naive, so that didn't work. Um, we later on got married. We were together for a lot of years. We didn't really stay married long, but I was kind of both mom and dad because he was kind of like a mama's boy, maybe so to say.
mm-hmm,
Um, but they did have access to him. I don't have anything negative to say about him, but I just
mm-hmm,
kind of just did what I had to do. I did what came natural. You know,
mm-hmm,
um, I always worked a lot. They were in daycare, so they pretty much had everything that they needed. And like I said, he was there, but it, I
it's
can
just
say a
different.
lot.
Yeah, it's so much different when you don't have, especially when you have like, you can be co-parenting, but actively, you got is the difference
Yes.
between active co-parenting and inactive co-parenting. So I get what you're saying. I do understand, the assignment,
Yeah.
so I'm saying, but we strong women, we do what we have to do in spite of, it's what my parents, my grandma used to say, mama's baby, daddy's
Yes,
maybe. You
baby.
know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And we ain't talking
Yes.
about DNA wise. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
We're talking about when it come down to doing, what we need to do for the children and making sure that their needs are met, making sure that we're teaming together to do this. So I get what you're saying now.
Look, I'm trying to be transparent, but
Yes.
at the same
It,
time,
it's you're there, and I think we both in the same place. So as far as co-parenting, since we're on that subject, as far as co-parenting, what do you think is the most important aspect of co-parenting? Because we can say, okay, we're co-parents, so that means you get the kids, I get the kids, or you get them this week, or you get them that week, or this they. But co-parenting is so much deeper than that.
yes, it
You
is.
know,
It
how?
is.
What do you think is the most important aspect of co-parenting?
Um, Getting past you and basically focusing on the children.
Right.
Most times in situations where people are co-parenting, you've had some type of emotional upset at some point that causes it two people to not be able to get along.
Mm-hmm.
um and for that purpose, it never really works out. But in order for two adults to be able to co-parent, we have to stay focused on the children,
Right.
and not how we feel personally. And sometimes, again, that's kind of difficult because somewhere down the line, you've hurt them, they've hurt you, you haven't healed, they haven't healed. So,
Mm-hmm.
and rather than, okay, let's stand focused on what it is, you're at each other.
Right.
And then sometimes you have co-parenting where two people are trying to outdo each other. But at the end of the day, it's not about either of you, it's about the child. And usually, when you have two people who cannot co parent, the child usually suffers
Mm-hmm.
because no matter what, the child loves the mom and the dad. And I'm quite sure if they could, you know, intellectually wrap themselves around what's going on, they would say, I love you both.
Mm-hmm.
Please stop fighting and please stop arguing over me. You know, parenting is not easy on either part. You know
Right.
what the child needs. So let's focus on the child and the need. You know that the child needs diapers. You know that they need clothes. You know every the necessities that they need.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just make it happen. You know, being able to say, well, you know, if you get paid at this time, okay, and I don't have it, let's work together. It's all about teamwork. But a lot of
Right.
times, because we can't get outside of our emotions and how we feel, we wind up upsetting the whole thing. And then that's when the child support got to come in, because you don't like her, she don't like you, or either you good, or she still wants you.
Mm-hmm.
So it all of that kind of stuff starts to intermingle in there, and it makes it hard to co-parent.
Right.
And I hate to say it, and I pray that I don't step on anybody's toes, but a lot of us as women,
Mm-hmm.
when we realize that the man does not, or I'm gonna say it like this, that my baby daddy don't want to be a family anymore, we start
Mm-hmm.
doing all kinds of stuff rather than
Mm-hmm.
focusing on our children. And
Right.
then most time, what the guy does not want to co-parent with you because you're doing too much.
Right.
You holding the baby hostage. You
Mm-hmm.
don't want to let the baby go see the daddy because you in your feelings. You can't get over yourself because you still want him. I have to be 100
Yes.
about it because it's the truth. Or it
Right.
could be on the opposite. The
Mm-hmm.
mom don't want the daddy, so the daddy don't want it. But at the end of the day, it takes two adults to co-parent and say, look, it's what's for the best interest of the child. Let's put us aside and let's do this. But most times that does not happen.
Right. And I appreciate your transparency on that. I think that you're 120% correct on that. Me personally, I've experienced that one point in time too, but it wasn't because I wanted to continue on the relationship. It was just the things that were done to me.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of stuff that was done to me during the duration of the relationship, um, it made me question how my children would be treated at the same time. And even though I had to come to the realization, like, that's not necessarily, you know, that's in my head, but that's not in actuality what the reality of it is. It's like, okay, you did this to me, so I'm gonna pull. And I'm the one that can admit to what I have had to experience or what I've had to go through. But I had to learn to I had to pray away that spirit. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can't be this way because
Mm-hmm.
my children dearly, all of my children, they love their father,
Mm-hmm.
a couple of my kids have come to me and have talked and said, I just prefer to keep it this way.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really want to have anything to do with him, but me being with the heart that I have to constantly remind them that, hey, this is still your father.
Mm-hmm.
At
Yes.
the end of the
Yes.
day, you still have to have respect. You know what I'm saying? Never be disrespectful to them. We want to always make sure that check on them from time to time, you
Mm-hmm.
know, because a lot of times they're going through things that we don't even know. We're on the outside looking in, and maybe that's the reason why they didn't want to interfere or want you to be exposed to a lot of the stuff that was really going on in their lives. We got to look at things. It's so many different ways to look at it. But when we get to the point where it gets to a point where you just absolutely cannot communicate
Mm-hmm.
with the other parent, I think it's essential that communication is important. Sit down and talk about the needs of the child and what, discipline and how we're going to do it. Can we come to this type of agreement? Because we make all kinds of hasty decisions by ourselves, and then the other parent, like, well, why didn't you inform me? But I think it's an equal right for both parents.
Yes.
I do as much as I can as far as trying to inform the other parents on what's going on. It's their choice or not to communicate with me or to respond or whatever. And at that point, I have absolutely nothing to do with that. Now, how do you feel about that? So is it more like, if you choose, say, for example, if I feel like I'm doing everything that I'm supposed to be doing, I'm communicating, I'm co-parenting, We both moved on, and it's not about that anymore. It is about the child. So you got one parent that's communicating, that's doing what needs to be done, but then all of a sudden, boom, you're right back to square one, because it's like it's not on both ends anymore. What is your take on that?
Well, usually when it's like that, it's some type of environmental interrupt. Um, let's just say, for example, you're like you say, you're the one doing everything you're supposed to do, and then
Hmm.
instantly there's a change. Okay, let's just say the other co-parent has gotten involved in a relationship,
Hmm.
and maybe the person that they're involved in a relationship is not one of the people that is big on you being involved with your baby mama.
Mm.
So you have a lot of different things that, and people don't necessarily talk about those kind of things.
Mm.
Um, and then you could have the woman on the other hand, if it's the guy that's doing his part, oh well, he's gotten in a relationship, so now I don't want my children around this woman. Rather than saying, you know what, he is the father. I have to
Hmm.
trust him that
Hmm.
he is not going to allow anybody to harm my child.
Right.
And hopefully there comes a time where the child is old enough, because
Hmm.
these kids in this generation, they're going to tell mama if
Right.
something ain't right. And you
Right.
got some of them that's telling the truth, and then you got some kids that make co-parenting hard because they'll
Hmm.
play mama and daddy against each other. So there are so many different factors that play into co-parenting. Now, if it's a situation where the person just is childish and need to grow up,
Hmm.
it's one of them situations where you just need to do it on your own. And
Right.
like I say, I am not big on child support, but
Hmm.
sometimes people need a little help.
Right.
If you can't communicate with me,
Hmm.
if we can't figure this out, not because I'm trying to be nasty, even though you got some women that that's a payback
Hmm.
because you're not with me or whatever. But if me and you can't get along, we got to get somebody else disinterested involved to make sure
Hmm.
that the needs of this child is met. So by all means, I would try to, do my part. But if
Hmm.
I needed to, take it to another level, I would, because it's
Right.
about my child. And my
Right.
child does not need to be neglected because you can't get outside of yourself, or because you're
Hmm.
in a relationship now and she don't want you to take care of my kids, or whatever the situation is. But there's usually something in, or even sometimes it's the grandma
Right.
that has something to say about, when we get these mama boys
Hmm.
as baby daddies, mama plays a big part, or they may not have had that type of support or structure growing up. So at first it's like, okay, I'm gonna try to do this, but then when they get in the interim of it, this don't feel right.
Hmm.
I don't feel like I'm worthy to be a father. We have to understand that we talking about two individuals,
Hmm.
okay? Men have insecurities. I think that they go through their little postpartum depression too when they realize, like, oh my God, I done made this child. This child is my responsibility, not only for just 18 years, but for the rest of their life. I got to
Right.
man up and I got to be an example to this child. I don't have the tools. So what do I do? And then you got, if it's one of us, you got this strong willed baby mama that's willing to do it all. I can't compare with that. So
Hmm.
I really think if the communication is really clear, and at some point you should be able to come to some type of meeting, either like, look, I can't do this. I'm sorry. I'm not ready to be a parent, yada, yada, yada. But communication is key. You do whatever you have to do for the need of your child, whether it's on the
Hmm.
male side or the female. Do what you have to do for your children, because the children in the end are the ones that are going to suffer no matter
Right.
what. And then at the end of the day, no matter how deadbeat mama or daddy is, those kids still love us.
Right. And you're absolutely correct. I used to wonder all the time, hey, my kids, like, they really, really love, and I would never take that from them because I've always been big on, keeping the kid. If you keep the kids away from them, like, God has a way of taking them away from you, you
Mm-hmm.
know. So I've always, stuck with that notion. But it's at the same time, if you don't appreciate your children's presence, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It's like eventually one day you're gonna miss that. But we can't force nobody to do, especially when they don't want a relationship, in the
Exactly.
future. So we can't force nobody to do anything. We can't force them um, to want to be a parent, to want to
Exactly.
co-parent, to want to do it the right way. Because I honestly don't feel like you can co-parent with an angry parent.
Exactly.
I that's just me. I don't think that it can happen because then that's just like, let's say you're my baby daddy. Okay. And if you're constantly attacking me, eventually I just don't want to have anything to do with you. You know what I'm saying? Because
Exactly.
it's just like it's so much easier and less stressful for me to just continue to take care of my children,
Mm-hmm.
and just not deal with that. I'd rather just do it by myself. That's where I am right now in life. It's like it really doesn't even matter to me, but also don't want to cheat the children out of something that they may want. But it becomes intolerable at times. It's unhealthy. If you can't ask a simple question or you can't give a simple response, that's a lot of hate and envy in your
Mm-hmm.
heart. That means you need to
Yes.
be fixed. But who am I to fix anybody? You know what I'm saying? Like they have to be willing and open to be receptive to, communication. You have to
Yes.
want to be able to do that. And I think that
Yes.
that's where a lot of us are struggling through this co-parenting thing and being a single parent. A lot of us just prefer to remain as a single parent. Um, they'll say one thing and, oh, you're supposed to do this. The judge or the courts will say this. They'll get out here and they'll make this ruling, but not knowing what you got to go through on the back end of it. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things where it's pointless. I do believe in co-parenting. Don't get me wrong, Pastor. I do believe in co-parenting. I think that in order to have a co-parenting relationship, it has to be healthy, it has to be communicative, it has to be understanding, it has to be respectful. I'm talking about from both ends. I don't
Mm-hmm.
care if I choose to move on and then my significant other, he has to be able to respect my kid's father. You know what I'm saying? And it's the same way as, my children's father, he moves on, whoever it is, they have to be able to respect me. And we all have our little respect. We all have our boundaries. We ain't in each other business. Worry about what this one got going on, and that's the way that I feel like it should be. And but let me say this: I haven't always felt that way because at one point in time, I've had a lot of anger and aggression because I felt like what did I deserve? What did I do to deserve? So that's mainly what it was. It wasn't that they moved on or anything. It was just like, what did I do
Mm-hmm.
for you to do? And anybody that doesn't like me, you can't like my kids. That's the mentality that I had. But again, I had to pray that thing off because I'm like, God, these are your children. I gave them back to you. So I know you're going to watch and protect them. You're going to keep
Mm-hmm.
them safe. My children are going to come back and talk to me. They're going to tell, but I don't have no hate in my heart anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And I sit back now and I look back like, okay, was that worth me, doing that? Or was it worth me saying that? Now I don't even argue anymore. I don't respond. I don't argue. It's like I just don't have for one, the time for it. I don't have the time for it. I don't have the energy for it because there's so many positive things that's going on in my life. I just take what I have to take. I deal with what I have to deal with as far as parenting with my children, and I take it I mean, I have to get up every morning. I have to get up every morning. I don't even go to school, but I still got to get up and make sure that
Yep.
they here. You know what I'm
That's
saying?
it.
I get up and make sure when sick. I had a child now with an ear infection. You know what I'm saying? So what do I have to do? I had to deal with the crying and the whining last night, and then the snot rolling down, and then I had to get up, go take her to the doctor, come back. I had to go to Walmart, go to the pharmacy. Like these are things that
Mhm.
parents have to do all the time. Do you really think that I want to go through disrespect or non-communication, and then that becomes a problem when you're not communicating, um but the communication stops because you refuse to deal with all of
Yes.
the extra stuff that comes with it. So it's like I already have this to deal with. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to go and deal with all the extra stuff, the
Mhm.
attitude, all of that other stuff that you, and it might be because they have something personal going on in their
Mhm.
life. Again, that has nothing to do with me. You know what I'm saying? So this is helping me too. And again, like I've said before, I take a lot of what you say to heart. um there's been times I'm talking about, I ask God, and like, oh God, Jesus, I need for you to really lead me and guide me in this situation. What do I need to do? Because I've had my older children. I have what, four finna be adults now, finna be four adults. But when I tell you, it just seems like it gets harder and harder. But another thing that keeps me and reassures me is when I reflect on my children and
Mhm.
the older ones. So it
Mhm.
lets me know I'm doing something right.
Yes. Yes.
It's got to be something. And then for them to come on, it's like those are my kids' other parents. Does
Yes.
that make sense?
Yes.
So God know what he be doing. When he do
Yes.
it, he do his big one too. You get
Yes.
what I'm saying? So it's like,
Yes.
okay, yeah, I got seven. And he said he'll never leave me or forsake me. But look what he gave me. He gave all of my older kids. It's like those, my smaller ones are their children. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
So that's why I say I really don't feel like I struggled a lot. You know what I'm saying? Because they were really always there, and they're still there. They're very, very active in my kids' life, and so that, which is what gives me the ability to even do what I'm doing right now.
Wow.
So
Wow.
um
I have a moment of transparency.
yeah.
When I was thinking about the co-parenting, my kid's dad was kind of cheated himself
Mm-hmm.
out of had spending time with my kids because he was so upset with me about child support.
Mm.
Yes. So he wasn't involved like he should be. I mean, hey, it is what it is. You made the choice. Uh it would be times like they would reach out to him and stuff like that. Well, I don't have the money to do it, because I had to pay your mama child support. So can you imagine like how that made my kids feel? It's like, okay, do I resent my mama or am I upset with my daddy for not being there? Like
Mm-hmm.
you have to support your children by choice or by force. I
Mm-hmm.
tried to do it the adult way and let dad be dad, but dad sometimes it's hard when they get the cash in their hand to do what they need to do with it.
Right.
So he robbed himself and he robbed my children of that time because he was so focused on the fact that every 2 weeks he was having that deducted, which I didn't think was much at all because, for the number of children that we had,
Mm-hmm.
I would just be transparent. You get mad at me, hey, take it up with Jesus. My
Mm-hmm.
life is my testimony.
Right.
For $580 a month for 3 children,
No.
sweetheart, I know right now, men paying 8 for one.
Yes.
So, as a father, you gotta man up. You gotta do what you gotta do. Get you another job or whatever. But
Mm-hmm.
later on in life, he had other children.
Mm-hmm.
So that means that's probably more child support. So why did my children have to suffer?
Right.
Because of your life choices. So
Mm-hmm.
that was one of the things that made co-parenting impossible with my situation. The fact that he could not get over that. So if that was too much for you, that means you got to either continue to do what you do or prove yourself that you capable of managing your money and taking care of your children on your own. Look, this sentence, this life sentence that I have been blessed with, I
Mm-hmm.
don't have a choice.
Right.
I got to go to work. I got to figure it out. I gotta be, as they start growing up, they start getting involved in activities in school. I
Mm-hmm.
got to be and pay. I got to figure it out. I got to make it happen for
Right.
my children so that they can have some type of a quality of life. Or
Right.
I could have set back and been a bitter baby mama and be like, I'm not gonna do this because you don't do that. Okay, you don't have to co-parent with me. I'll
Right.
do it on my own. So when I think of single parenting, that's truly when you are doing it by
Your
yourself. You
yes.
when you showing them how to do this, you showing them how to do that. You got to teach them everything. And I thank God that even though we weren't able to co-parent, that He gave me the strength to be able to migrate through, because even as a single parent, sometimes the ends don't meet. Sometimes you're
Right.
robbing Peter to pay Paul. Sometimes, look, I've done things like I've written checks, not bad checks, but you know how you write a check. Back then, you could do that. You
Right.
would go to the grocery store and maybe go ahead and prepay for your groceries before you got
Mm-hmm.
paid. But God always made it where the check met my paycheck,
Right.
if that makes sense. But I say that you do all kinds of things that you have to do to try to make ends meet for your children. Even like the debit card. Back in the days, you could go and swipe your debit card and get money, and then they
Mm-hmm.
would give you the NSF fee. I've gotten student loans and stuff, so
Mm-hmm.
I did whatever I had to do to take care of my children. I was
Right.
not finna sit around and fight with the man because he couldn't figure it out. The children would be the one that was suffering.
Suffering.
So
Right.
that was just a moment of transparency about my life. My kids are grown now.
Right.
Like I say, my life is my testimony. If he don't like it, he can take it up with Jesus.
Right. That's awesome. It's just awesome. I did had to do some strange things too, honey, but not that strange.
Hey, I made it
Hey,
work, honey.
I'm not knocking nobody, but I'm just saying, we have to do what we got to do, in order to. So, and I'm the type of parent where I don't want my kids. I don't bare minimum my kids. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? Some people say I have my kids spoiled. I don't think it's spoiled. It's just that I didn't have very much, and it's not that my
Hmm.
dad couldn't give it to me.
Hmm.
Well, I'm not gonna say that he could. He did the best he could because
Hmm.
you got all these kids. So I want my children to have something different. I want them to be able to have what I didn't. Even at my age, but they still know that they got to work for it. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So, it's just I just don't like when I say bare minimum. My kids just don't think child support is because some few little dollars, honey,
Exactly.
that ain't nothing. They'll sit up here and get and like we could easily go to court, or I could easily go to court, but it's just like I'm just getting tired of going in
Hmm.
these people courthouse. If I gotta force you to do what you need to do, I'm not gonna do it.
Hmm.
You can take it up with God because that's the one who you're gonna have to take it up with. Because
And
one thing about it, I don't have to beg, borrow, or steal. I am absolutely perfectly okay.
yes.
I'm not struggling. I make this whole thing look absolutely great.
Hmm.
And it's with the grace of God. I just have to truly thank God because I honestly have not struggled
Hmm.
with my kid. I lost everything that I had at one point in time. I lost everything and had to start back over, honey. Had gotten on Section 8 and all of that. I had to start all back over again. And excuse me, when I tell you the same thing that when it was taken away from me, God quadrupled it
Hmm.
and gave it back to me.
Yes.
This house that I'm in, these people want to pretty much give me my home. Like I don't have to work too much for anything. I bet these people absolutely love me. You know what I'm
Wow.
saying? Like, and so everything that was taken away from me,
Hmm.
it was given back to me
Hmm.
3, 4 times.
Hmm.
You know, and that's when you know that you're doing the will of God. And what I always want to leave, even to my audience, I want to tell y'all out there, honey, when you do right by your children,
Mm.
care of you.
Yes, that's
When
it.
you do right by your children, because remember now, these are original, these are God's children.
Hmm.
He just gave loaned them to us.
Yes, that's it.
When you take care of his children, he will take care of
Hmm.
you.
Hmm.
I promise you. I don't know sometimes, Leisha, Lord is my witness. I have went to my mailbox and I've gotten checks that I don't know where they came from, but as long
Jesus.
as they had my name on it
Wow.
and Chase was willing to cash it, I put it right in my bank account.
Okay.
I get out there and I get checks from the FDC. I get
Jesus.
checks, got something right now where I got to fill out right now to go send back in to claim another check. I don't know where this stuff is coming from. But when I tell you, when you take care of your children, when you do right by what God has blessed you with, what
Hmm.
God say, I'm giving you this. I'm trusting. This is why He gave me so many, because you know what I'm saying. He knew I could do it. That's why I say
Yes.
it really wasn't hard. It was just it was frustrating sometimes because they were
Hmm.
working my nerves. I'm like, Lord, you made me who I am, but please allow me to get through this. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Because I love my children, and there's nothing I wouldn't, and I don't limit them. I don't baseline them. I do what I can. I do the best that I can
Hmm.
for them because it's, again, like you say, it's not their fault. They didn't
No.
ask to be here. You know what I'm saying? And I've dealt with so many things with my children. I've dealt with mental stuff that God has actually allowed one of my children to recover from. You know what I'm
Wow.
saying? I've dealt with I have a daughter. One of my daughters, she is very she has a discernment, a very strong discernment. It comes to her in dreams. When I tell you, she can sit there and tell you like something that may happen, like, I don't know, a year from here or right down the road, maybe next week. And I'm like, dang, she said that, you know?
Mm.
And I kept wondering, but these are the children that God have given me. He gave me children. Each one of them, like you say, is different. And they'll say, oh, you love this one more than you love. No, I love who needs me. I love each one of you equally.
Hmm.
But whoever needs me the most right then, that's why you see an extension of love. You know
Yes.
what I'm saying? Because I don't want my kids to fail. And I don't want them to think that just because one didn't do, that mama not going to do. I'm going to always be there for my kids. Um, but I commend you, and I look just you and amongst a few other women, because when I tell you, with seven, you have four. I know another young lady, she got eight. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, for you to just put your foot in that mud and just not
Hmm.
even like, okay, I might be dragging a little bit, I might be, but guess what? You're still doing it.
Yes.
And I'm talking about, look at you now. You're on top. Honey, you have a multi-million dollar business. Let me tell you that.
Jesus.
You have a multi-million dollar business. And it's gonna be people reaching out to you. You know what I'm saying? Like you say, you've been helping, you are opening that door for them to be able to come to you, and you be able to provide them. But that's what God blessed you to be able
Yes.
to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, if he brought you to this, why not go and share that with someone? But your business is going to be a multi-million dollar business.
Jesus. I
It ain't
received
just, you're
that.
not limited to Alachua County, sweetheart.
And
You know what
yeah.
I'm saying? But again, that brings it all back to it.
Yeah.
God will take care of you. You know what I'm saying? He's gonna
And
make sure that he takes care of you. And you ain't got to beg, borrow, or steal. You're gonna be the lender and not the borrower.
wow. Amen. I
And I
received
receive it.
that.
Yes. And that's the way that it's going to be. And
Wow.
so struggle a little bit, but prosper for eternity. You get what I'm saying? And
Yes, because
that's the way I look at it.
I can say this. Even through the years of working multiple jobs and having to groom my oldest daughter to be able to help me watch her siblings and different things so that I could work. My prayer had always been, Lord, bless me to be a blessing to my children.
Mm-hmm.
I prayed and asked God to be able to put me in a position
Mm-hmm.
to where I could employ my children. And God has honored that. What in 2018, I was picked out of a number of CNAs to do private duty.
Mm-hmm.
So I learned about a different licensing that you can get as a CNA. Y'all don't sleep
Right.
on a CNA. Don't think that just because you're a CNA, you got to go to these places, taking care of all of these clients. Baby girl, baby boy, you can take your CNA license and work for yourself and be paid what you're worth. I can tell you that. But I took that particular license and I created a business for myself. So when I created that business, I knew as the client began to decline that I was going to need help. I knew that I was going to need more. So
Mm-hmm.
I did my research and I found out that Akka had another door that you could walk in. So I opened a homemaker companion sitting agency
Mm-hmm.
that allowed me to hire my children. So myself and my children worked with this client. I got overwhelmed,
Mm-hmm.
and they were still just some of them were still in high school, and even my youngest baby, he even jumped on board, and he was helping me take care of the client as well. And I was like, oh my God, God, you're actually doing what I asked you to do. And even before that, I had to work for other people and all of that stuff, but it all paid off. But I can tell you all, young ladies, young men, it is so important when whatever type of parent you are, whether it's a household where you both are parenting, or whether you're single parents, you have to give your children back to
Mm-hmm.
God.
Mm-hmm.
Because I had been in some situations with my second marriage, you know, uh, some things that my children were exposed to, some things that they watched me grow through, and those things had the proclivity to like have an effect on them as an adult.
Mm-hmm.
So my children now are a product of my yes. I had to, God, I know that I did this, and this, but God, please
Mm-hmm.
don't let my choices affect my children. God, I give them back to you.
Mm-hmm.
And I can tell you that a lot of things that are going on, you can't say what your kids won't or will or won't do, but I could tell you kind of how far they'll go. I know each one of them are different, but for the most
Mm-hmm.
part, I'm proud of my children. I can actually, say, God, I thank you that even in the midst of my mess, I recognize that they're yours. And
Right.
then I ask God to make a way. So even now, the ones that choose, they're employed under the business that God blessed me with. And
Mm-hmm.
that is such an honor. And as a parent, you should always be focused on getting up out of here. I know that sounds crazy, but there's going to
Mm-hmm.
be a time where we're not going to be here for our children. So we got to
That's right.
plan. We got to make plans. We need to get life insurance in place. We need to put things in place so that in our demise that our children will still be okay. Leave us legacy for your children. Find a stream of income that if you pass away, your children can take the reins and keep going and know how to be self-sufficient and don't have to be a product of being abused and all of that, because as they become adults, they're going to take the tools that we have given them as parents to be able
Mm-hmm.
to uh, go forth in life. And I can tell you that, everybody got that one that think they know it all.
Right.
Everybody got that one that you can't tell nothing. But as soon as the fire get too hot, mom, 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 we all got that. But us as parents should always be focused on the next for our children. Because there
Right.
were times I went without food and my children would eat. Mama, you're not going, no, as long as you all are good. But I can say this, they never were out without transportation.
Right.
The lights were never cut off. And I didn't have to swing on the pole or do none of that kind of stuff. I mean, to each their own, do what you got to do to take care of yours. But what I'm saying is, God made a way. And one of the things was, I was not afraid, no matter how jacked up I was, to repent. And I
Mm,
always took my children to church. I had
right,
sense enough that if I couldn't do it, I need to take them. It takes a village
right.
to raise children. And that has gone out the window. We think that ain't nobody need to tell my kid these children are different.
Mm-hmm.
They're not like, well, you can't tell them anything and they don't challenge you. They bold. And the
Right,
Bible speaks about that. So as a parent, single or not, you got to be on your job and be parent and
right.
not friend. Parent and not friend,
Hmm.
because you trying to be a friend to your child, that's gonna blow up in your face.
And not.
It's
Let
gonna
me
blow
tell you.
up.
Well, I'm gonna say this right here. I think you have done an awesome job, and I want to give Early. That is him. That's my baby. He's so sweet. He is so sweet.
Yes,
Um,
he is.
what I tell you, I was talking with him, and he was just sitting there, just like the yes ma'am, no ma'am, and I was just like, wow, And he said, you don't remember when I came and I spoke to you at the game? I say, baby, I don't remember that. He said, yeah, I seen you at the game. He said you was looking real fly and stuff. I say, sure. I know I would. And girl, and they're just such beautiful, beautiful children.
Mhm.
I was going through your page when I was trying to figure out which one of these pictures that I wanted to use, because as I was sharing with you, that when I am interviewing a person, I go through their page, I get a
Mhm.
feel for who they are, what they, how I connect with them in whatever type of way, and I have that discernment, so I'm able to go through and see, this word, no, she's not gonna like that. Yep, I think she would. So that's what I'm thinking the whole time. And I ran across a picture of the you and your children. You had shorter hair. You didn't have the
Mhm.
locks. And I thought that was the most beautiful picture. But I'm like, okay, it has the kids in it. We're talking about single parenting, but I was like, I don't think we're gonna throw the
Yeah.
children up. You know what I'm saying? I said I just want this just to be her in her opinion,
Mhm.
but I wanted to use that picture so bad, and it was so cute. And there was another thing. It's just that you didn't have your sister locks in, and I love the sister locks. One of well, not sister locks, but locks, but yeah, I was like, I really wanted to be more of a reflection of who she is today. Like this is who she is. This is the evangelist. This is, well, now the pastor.
Oh God.
So
I'm
yeah,
a servant.
yes, honey, and God is really going to do it. Now for everyone that's on here, I am going to actually be at Divine Prosperity tomorrow. I have an interview, a sit down interview with the pastor,
Yeah.
Earlicia Young Rentz, tomorrow at 4 o'clock. Okay. So you will all get to see the video once it comes out, once it
Mhm.
premieres. I am very excited about going in and having this sit down interview with the pastor. So you all be looking forward to it. Just be so we can check it out. If you would please go. Also, I think it is going to be airing on her page, or she's going to be able to post it. I think it's going to be a pre-recorded, right? So it's going to be posted on there. So she is on Facebook as one of them. Which one do you use?
Well, all of the pages that I have younger Alicia, Latricia. Then I have my page because Facebook wouldn't let me change my name. Then I have Earlicia Young Rents, but the actual platform is Divine Intervention, and it will actually stream live
Oh,
Saturday at 1 o'clock.
okay.
That's
Okay.
one of the benefits of Holy Connection.
Right.
You can do it and then you can still do it
You
and
can
it's
do it.
still doing it. But
Yeah.
but yeah, I'm excited about that. And real quick, what the divine intervention basically is, it's just a platform where you can be transparent. You know,
Mhm.
God governs that platform. You
Right.
know, so as long as God knows and He wants us to share our truth, you know, we can make it do what it do. But I'm excited about that. And thank
Mhm.
you for having me on.
Yes.
I know that we'll have many more talks. This
Yes.
is amazing. God bless you. And
Yes.
God is going to prosper you in ways that you don't even know, you know, because just, I can't put it into words,
Mm-hmm.
but there are people hurting, and there are people who are looking for answers, and they're looking for a safe place so that they can be who they are, you
Right.
know, and not be judged,
Right.
because we're not perfect, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not perfect,
Right.
but when I fall short, I know how to get it right.
Right.
So God bless you. Talks with the
Yes.
ladies. I'm
Yes.
looking forward to
Yes.
many more episodes.
Yes. I want people to just be open and just be themselves. Just be transparent. I'm open. I'm very transparent. There's nothing that I have to hide. And I love talking with people. I like coming getting to the solution to a problem. That is what I'm primarily geared towards. So it is definitely an honor again to have, and everybody can't come on this platform. It's specifically designed for the ones that God ordained to be on.
Amen.
I can't just accept any and everybody on a platform that I want God to bless
That's
me with.
right.
You know what I'm saying? And God won't even allow it. You get what I'm
That's
saying?
right.
So I truly thank you again, Pastor. I am looking forward to our interview tomorrow at Divine Intervention. I'm so very excited. I would like for you all to go and follow her again. It is Divine Intervention. She is also on Facebook as Young Earlicia Rentz, as well as Earlicia Young Rents. Okay.
Yes.
So make sure that you go and follow her, like her, share. She has some very great um uh projects that she has going on right now, and I've watched a few. I'm not sure if you want to, I have a page that talks with the lady, and I would really like for you to share some of that inside of the actual talks with the lady page.
Okay.
Even if you I think you can just send a request, but people are really watching. They might not
Wow.
say a lot, but they are definitely watching. And I know because
Wow.
sometimes I just post in there just to, let them know that I'm still there. But I'm mainly on my lady Lashana Brown page, but I just post in there to let them know that I have not forgotten about them, but I post essential content in there. So if you would like to go and post that content as well, we'll be more than happy, to be able to touch someone, that is definitely going to need it. I'm sure.
Awesome.
All right. But I love you. I love you
Love
with
you
the love of
too.
God. And I look forward to seeing you tomorrow.
All right, love.
All right. Have
Blessings.
a
Good
blessed night.
night.
Good night.